David, I couldn't hear you. I don't know if anyone else on Zoom can hear you.
Yeah, I think we're muted out.
We can't hear you guys.
How about now? David, I think this might.
What is the battery fully charged? Can you hear it? Say it now. They're giving thumbs up.
We hear you, David, but it's still hard to hear Alice.
Okay. Last chance. All right, one more time.
How about now? Do I have to touch anything here?
It is on.
Let me try.
We can't hear him on the mic, but we can hear him if he speaks loud enough.
No, we don't want to do that.
Now,
Does the mic, is
do
it
you
on?
want to try something? You know it better than I do.
Oh, it's not on. So that was me.
I tried that several times.
Oh, you know, it's out of batteries. I apologize, we're out of batteries. I need to change our batteries real quick and then we will. Joys of Toastmaster, we get to try different difficult situations. One moment, please. Gotta put them in the right way, y'all. Okay, here we go.
Get in there.
Almost there, guys. Anybody wants to sing and dance on Zoom? That would be awesome. Okay, one more try. Sorry about this.
Yes.
Here we go. I think we got it. Technical difficulties. I apologize. Seems that we don't have any batteries, therefore we're going to have to improvise and change it up a little bit. So if we can have 1 second, let me figure this out. We're going to change it up a bit over there. Yeah. No. Figure it out.
Hear me now? Better? Okay. So, Tim, we would need to be closer. Now, oh wait, you are muted? No, your video's off. Yes, put on video. There we go. Here. Can you hear me? Better? No. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. an honor for me to be here tonight. I will be the presiding officer, and I would like to start by introducing our guests. We have some guests on site, and also I see some guests on Zoom. For the guests that are here on site, I would like to ask our VP of Membership, Dr. Harvey, to introduce our members. I don't know if it is going to be able, since we don't have the mic, probably I would like the guests, if you could stand up and come over. Let's try to make it work. I promise this is the only time that we are going to ask you to stand up here. And we're doing it because the mic is not working, so we are trying to make it work so that the people that are online can also hear you. So if you can come over, tell us your name, where did you hear about Toastmasters, and what your goal tonight here is. So if you can do that.
Thank you, Toastmaster Elvis. I'd like to start first with Jane. Jane has said she's going to be in Charlotte for the next 6 months. She's been here for a couple of weeks. She has a very robust speaking background, but there's still that butterflies in her, and she likes to gain more experience in the professional environment, and also to have the opportunity to speak more. Jane, would you like to make the introduction?
Hello, everyone. Like Herbie said, my name is Jean. I am originally from Houston, so this is my 5th week here in Charlotte. My goal is, like you said, to get better at speaking purely because I do get nervous regardless of, any prior experience and so forth. And I want to come off as a more professional speaker, whatever that looks like. And I'm hoping that today I get more comfortable so that I can actually become an extra member for at least the next 6 months while I'm here in Charlotte for sure. Great, thank you.
Next, we have our 2 friends here. Yes, I'd like for you to come and make a introduction.
Hello, everyone. My name is Junior Gomez. I'm originally from New York City, and I moved to Charlotte in 2018. And I live with my partner in the west side of Charlotte. I was introduced to Toastmaster by someone who came here and told me about public speaking and getting better at public speaking. And me and him worked together on our businesses. And I've been wanting to become a better speaker in front of crowds and speak to people. So I said, hey, this is the best opportunity to do it, so why not?
Okay.
That's an important role. And then we got people online.
All right, I think that's it for the people on site. Anybody on Zoom? Any guests?
Mike, J. Time.
We see Mike. Would you like to introduce yourself? Okay, maybe not. Well, at this time, we can come back later for at the end of the meeting and also do the introduction for our guests or ask for the meeting. So at this time, I would like to introduce a Toastmaster who is going to lead us through this meeting. He's the Toastmaster of the night, our immediate past president, Toastmaster David Jones. Thank you.
So tonight we're going to have to project as much as we can. Can you guys hear me okay online? Perfect. All right, first I want to introduce somebody very important to me because I'm an area director here in Toastmasters, is my boss, division director, Gail Poom. So welcome, Gail. Do you want to say hello?
Thank you, David. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I'm glad I had the chance to stop by and visit your club.
Perfect, thank you. And Jay Kine, are you available to say hello? I'm not sure. Hey, how are you?
I am, sir. Nice to be here tonight. My name is Jaquan O'Neill, and I actually got a load of you guys, got an earful of you guys if you will, in a random church group meeting. A fellow comrade of mine mentioned you guys in a sense of, he stated something like, if you want to get your public speaking right, join Toastmasters. And it just stuck with me. And that was about 2 months ago now. So I'm finally getting a chance to log in with you guys. So I'm excited to be here. I'm just looking to tune up my clarity and my straight line communication, if you will.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Okay.
As you all saw, we did have some technical difficulties, but Toastmasters is the place to do it. You'd rather have technical difficulties here than in work in front of all your friends. And my theme tonight was going to be about, I already forgot my theme. It was respect is earned, not given. But since we had some technical difficulties, I'm going to go back to that theme in a little bit. And I want to introduce our inspirational speaker tonight. Talker, that's good English. John Capello. Please welcome John Capello.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Thank you, David, for that warm introduction. I'll be serving as your inspirational master tonight. And this is kind of a hybrid role. You can either choose to do the joke master or the inspirational master. Given what happened to Chris Rock, I'm going to avoid jokes. But try to say something inspirational. Now, David's theme tonight, he mentioned, is respect. Now, without even hearing what else David had to say about respect, I think about what comes to my mind when I think of the ultimate form of respect. And that to me is listening. Active listening. Really going out of your way to hear and understand what someone else is saying. I feel like too often in today's society, we're more worried about being heard than actually listening to what someone else has to say. Dr. Stephen Covey, one of his successful habits is seek to understand before being understood. Now I'm in sales. When I first started in sales, I would always want to walk into a room and just bedazzle them with my knowledge of various products, and spew out a bunch of information that made me sound smart. As I've grown older and become more experienced as a salesperson, I've learned that some of my best relationships, some of my biggest sales were when I said absolutely nothing. And by that, I mean, maybe not to that extreme, but when I say that I go in and listen to what they tell me what their problems are. They tell me their concerns. I paraphrase what they've said to me with a question mark. They tell me more, and then I offer up a few solutions. Those are my biggest sales. And I don't say it just because I want as a sales trick. I mean, as a genuine person, whether in sales or business or in your own relationships. Seek to understand before being understood. Listen first and talk later. David, back to you.
John. All right, I'm going to do a quick little theme about respect is earned, not given. And this came from work. Recently, I applied for a job in December at my company as a manager, and the job seemed perfect for me. It was almost like it said, you must be named David, you must have an MBA, you must live in Charlotte. And I was like, perfect, I'll apply for it. I interviewed with the division manager, and I thought it went really well. And then she called and said I didn't get the job. And I started thinking about, well, who did get the job? And I was getting angry because I was like, there's only two people that really would qualify for it. One of the people I had no respect for, and the other person, she had joined a couple of years after me, and there was a point where she stabbed me in the back through some emails and stuff. And I was like, all right, I hope she doesn't get it, but she's better than the other guy. Well, it turns out this one person did get the job, the one that I felt stabbed me in the back. And I was ready to fight with her. Now, I found out I was like, all right, listen, we're not going to talk personal. We're just going to talk business. I do 650 audits a year. That's all. We're not going to talk about how my day was. I was ready for her. And she's been my boss for about 2 months now. And she's literally the best supervisor I've ever had. She just took control and she earned my respect. And she's actually created a position for me. I work for a multi-billion-dollar company with 1,500 employees. So it's not like she can just walk down the hall and say to somebody, hey, give David a promotion. She actually created a position for me to give me a promotion. And that is what I call earning respect, because I was ready to fight with her and she just totally turned it around by being a great boss and helping me grow with the company. So that's the kind of respect that I was talking about, as far as it's earned, not given, because usually our bosses, we have to give them our respect. Personally, I don't. That's probably why I didn't get promoted. I tend to fight people, but that's where I'm at. So tonight, as I call on you, if you have any tidbits like that that have come across, then go ahead and share them with us. But I want to go ahead to Miss Andrea Chocolate Butterfly Williams. She is our grammarian. And do you want to tell us about your role tonight, Andrea?
Hello, everybody. I am Andrea the Chocolate Butterfly, and I am your grammarian today. So today's word of the day, first of all, will be worthy. And an example of that, are you worthy of the respect? Or are you just expecting that people will find you worthy? So you can use worth, worthy, or however, worthiness, however you want to use it. But I will be looking out for everyone who says, and all of your souls, your likes, your crush words. And I look forward to hearing from you today. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam Grammarian. And I love this, that we don't, thank you, that we don't have the microphones. So often when we're up here at the microphone, we just kind of talk because we think the microphone is, and then people can't hear you. So now we really have to project in person. And next up is going to be our timer. And what we're going to do tonight, due to technical difficulties, is I'm going to do the timer for the people online. I'm going to do the colors here. But in person, we have Holly, right? Glad I got that right. Holly's going to come up here and share her role with us, because you all can't see it, but she's going to explain it.
Thank you, David. Hi, fellow Toastmasters. My name's Holly, and I'll be your timer tonight. The speeches will target 5 to 7 minutes, so I'll flash the yellow at the 6-minute mark and then red at the 7-minute mark when the timer range target for that speech is up. If you decide to volunteer for table topics, your target is between 1 to 2 minutes, and if you're doing an evaluation, that would be 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up is going to be our ballot counter, Lynn, Toastmaster Lynn.
Thank you, Toastmaster David. So I will be the ballot counter for tonight. For those of you in the room, so sorry guys, this is what we will use to count ballots to nominate speakers for being the best evaluator, best speaker, and best table topic speaker. So at the end of each round, when we complete the speeches, you will nominate your person on one of these pieces of paper, and I will walk around and collect them. And then at the end of the night, I will make an announcement of who's worthy to be our best in each category.
Thank you, Madam Ballot Counter. And also for those of you on Zoom, you can send a private message to the club view, and then we'll have Lynn go over and get your view, because you guys are worthy of doing the judging. So yeah, we usually have them send it over there. So you just go check it at the end and we'll do it. And with that, we're going to go ahead and start with our speakers. And our speakers changed up a little bit. Dr. Harvey Tran was going to do a 10 to 15, but he's changed it to 5 to 7 because we do have a guest speaker tonight, Alan from Valentine. So he's allowing Alan to do a 5 to 7 also. Therefore, we're going to have 3 speakers. But we're going to go ahead and start off with Dr. Harvey Tran. And his speech is "Not My Monkey, Not My Circus." Welcome, Dr. Harvey Tran. And before he gets started, we're going to figure this out, because I was going to run your slideshow here. I think you're going to have to use the. Get the controller. Where is it? Nope, the controller. Oh, you got it. Oh, okay, got it. Because she's going to type.
Good evening, fellow Toastmaster and honorable guests, online as well as in real person. I'm going to deliver to you my speech today. On the slides, there was a typo. It should be L2. I'm in L4, but it's on the L2. And it's under my presentation mastery pathway. And as David mentioned, my speech title is Not My Monkey, Not My Circus. Now, before you're going to jump at me and put me on the burning at the stake, don't shoot the messenger, listen to the message. My title underlies the Polish proverb. Every time when someone will pull you into some nonsense, and we nowadays hear a lot of nonsense from work, from organization, from school, from church, from everywhere. My message is that you are okay to say, not my monkey, not my circus. One of the nonsense that I was pulled into is the Flat Earth Society. Lo and behold, the Flat Earth Society is live and well. They have many members, hundreds of thousands of members in the Flat Earth Society. And as you all grown up, scientifically being taught that the Earth is a globe, there's a satellite up there that can give you image that the Earth is globe. Now you don't have to believe me. Do a Google search. It will take you right to the Flat Earth Society website, and they are actively recruiting members. If you say anything other than the Flat Earth Society, you will be immediately jumped. But when this idea was proposed to me through social media, I said, no, this is nonsense. This unscientific is not my monkey, not my circus. Let me share with you another nonsense. Is that there is this theory prevalent that COVID, the vaccine by Pfizer and BioNTech, has poison in it, graphene oxide. Over 90% of it is in the COVID vaccine, and this is being pushed heavily. Now, there's much more people. We're talking about millions of people believing in this theory and exercising on it. Now, as you guys can see, I come from a scientific background. People within my network, the former FDA leader, official spokeswoman for the US FDA, Dr. Francis Matlock, who pioneered the pre-IND filing that all the biotech companies nowadays use. I discussed with her about the poison in COVID vaccine. She said, this is nonsense, unscientific, unproven. Now, before any company gives you a vaccine, they have to go to an IRB, Institutional Review Board, which consists of industry experts, scientists, physicians. As a group, they vote whether or not to approve giving the drug to patient in a clinical trial. So if there's any portion in the COVID vaccine, there's absolutely no way the IRB would allow that to go through, or the US FDA would allow that to go through. But sometimes people can get caught up in the emotion or into certain groups that they follow, then they just believe into that theory. Again, I told the person who pushed this to me, not my monkey, not my circus. But hear me out on this one. This happened to be one of my best friends. I know the gentleman for over 3 years. We built great relationship. He's now 80 years old, a great person. I love him to death. He had tremendous value to my life, and vice versa. Back in his prime, he told me he was one of the 3 people who run Nevada, the state. If you want to have any project, any construction, anything building in that city, you got to go to him and his friends. And his friend is one of the 3 decision makers along with him. He built multiple companies, insurance company, real estate company. The largest one, when he sold it, was for over $200 million. Nowadays, he's in his retirement, pushing for the flat earth theory. I'm not calling out his name just because the topic is sensitive to him. I'll just call Jack. So Jack now, he enjoyed his life. He loved investment and pushing this COVID vaccine theory to me. And I told Jack immediately, as you know my personality, I told Jack, this is nonsense. Not my monkey, not my circus. I'm not part of the tinfoil hat club. But Jack, you know, we are great friends. I love you. I genuinely mean it. I would do anything possible within my limit for you. But again, I just cannot believe in this tinfoil hat theory. Jack did not give up. In the ensuing week, ensuing month, he continued to send me information on this stuff, and I dismissed it. And then he put me on a mailing list of the group of people who have the similar belief. But still, I told him, this is not me. And to this day, we are great friends. We agree to disagree. And he knows that I have no bad intention about him or about anyone. That's how I genuinely feel. Now, next, I'll share with you the last nonsense that I heard. Read a book a day if you want to be poor. Comments from someone who read over 2,000 books, who have over five, and I'm intending to build another bookshelf at home. That was my plan, but I stopped that. A couple bookshelves at my parents' house, 2 bookshelves in my own house. And initially, I was very put off when the person told me, read a book a day if you want to be poor. Growing up, I've learned to read books. That's the gateway to success. That's the gateway out of poverty. That's what our teacher taught us. I was like, this is nonsense, but I did not say that because this is my biggest mentor. I know he does not tell stuff that are not true. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I listened, I followed him. It got me out of poverty. I used to work at GNC right there, pushing testosterone booster to guys who cannot get it up. It is true story. I did not make that up. Whatever I told you is from my experience. So sometimes when you heard even things that sound nonsense to you, you don't have to believe it. But if your intuition tells you, hey, maybe there's more to this story, this is not about you. It's not against you. It's not about me. It's not against me. Just keep an open mind. Keep an open heart. It's about everyone. It's about the organization. It's about us taking each other to the next level. Oftentimes, people are not against you. They're not out to get you. And just give it a chance. Maybe the idea is worthy of your consideration. Maybe together we can move to the next round for the best interest of all. Thank you so much for your precious time, and I'll close with this slide. Maybe sometime we're all monkeys, so let's enjoy the circus. Let's enjoy the show together. Thank you, Toastmaster David.
Thank you, Dr. Harvey. Just give me a moment online so I can. Perfect. So I don't know if y'all have noticed, but whenever I am Toastmaster, I always wear this hat. It's kind of my theme. It's like we're in our back caves and this is our stage and we get to have fun. I'm a member of a New York club and there's a lady named Margot. And whenever she's grammarian, she always wears a tiara. So just remember, when we come here, this is your space to have fun and practice your public speaking. And if you want to wear a tutu or whatever, just make it your own. Make this place your place to practice your speaking and have fun. And next up, we're going to have our VPE, Elvis Lopez, give us a speech called No Change, No Gain. And I think we can all agree to that. So please welcome Mr. Elvis Lopez. Sir.
How many of you would like to be rich or wealthier? How many of you would like to be healthier or have a better relationship? How many of you would like to have a dream car or a dream house? How many of you would like to be a better communicator or a better leader? All of us. We all know the drill. Now, it makes sense that what we have heard, what we have learned about dreams, that we can all get what we want if we set goals. We can get everything we set ourselves to do if we plan it and we execute on those plans. Now, if we all know the drill, How is it that not everybody is successful? How is it that many people struggle to achieve their goals? How is it that there are many people who can do what seems impossible, while others would never be able to accomplish it? Is there a secret? Is it in people's genes? Or is it destiny? That some people are destined to be successful and powerful and happy, while others are destined to be miserable and unhappy. I'm sure we all agree that that's not the answer. So what then makes the difference? What do you think?
Attitude.
The difference lies in our self-awareness and our recognition of the habits, the attitudes, the behaviors, and the willpower to make change happen. When we make those changes, we are empowered and we get the confidence necessary to overcome the challenges and set ourselves to strive in the pursuit of those goals. Now, think about it again. We need to make changes in our behavior, changes in our attitudes, changes in our habits. And that is easier said than done. I'm a firm believer in the power of habits. About 8 years ago, I had a full head of hair, but also I had a big belly. You might not imagine it now, but it runs in my family. My dad, my siblings, my granddad, and that was something that I was determined to not continue in the line of inheritance. So I set myself a goal and I tried to do things differently. So I found a training online program of exercises and diet. And you would not believe it, maybe you do. But at the end of the 3rd month, I had a flat belly. Well, you might probably notice it now. And that was 8 years ago, and I was consistent and kept it till this day. The other next thing that I would like to share with you is that, as I mentioned before, I'm a firm believer in the power of habits. Habits, negative and positive, will make what we are today. And the choices we make would take us to where we are, lead us to this day, to this very moment. We chose to be here today. We could have been anywhere else or doing anything else, but we chose to be here. And when we do that, we make choices, we change our habits. We do it with determination and consistency. That leads us to the results. To summarize, we need to make changes in our behavior, changes in our habits. When we assume and develop habits to change our behaviors, that change will empower us to overcome the challenges. You have choices to make. The choices determine your life. What are you going to do? Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. VPE Elvis Lopez, for that speech. And next up is going to be our guest speaker. He's got a lot for me to read, so it's going to take a minute. No, his speech is true to my heart because I got divorced 6 years ago, and I've been on pretty much every dating app there is, and that's what his speech is about. But we have Toastmaster Alan from Valentine Toastmasters. They're also hybrid. They meet Thursday night, so if y'all are interested in another club, Valentine, I believe they meet at Earth Fair around 6-ish. Is that it? Yeah, perfect. So that's where you can find Alan and his club. And it's a 5 to 7 minute speech from level 3 motivating strategies. And it's called Online Dating Do's and Don'ts, mostly don'ts. So please welcome Toastmaster Alan. Thank you, sir.
By show of hands, how many of you have ever used an online dating app before? All right, so maybe some of you will relate to my story tonight. For many reasons that will take way too long to explain, I have been single basically my entire life and thought that I was destined to remain single for the rest of my life. But then finally, over the last year or so, I started having an epiphany, especially since next year I'll be turning 40. I didn't think for a long time I had a lot to offer anyone else. But at this point in my life, I'm financially stable, I have a good job, I own my own house, and I'd like to think I'm reasonably attractive. So for all of those reasons, I must be worthy of meeting someone special. A couple of months ago, I downloaded a dating app called Believer, which is a Christian dating app for members of the LGBTQ community. After a couple weeks, this really good-looking guy named Tony reached out to me. He's 47. He lives in San Jose, California. He's a divorced father of 2, and he was a fund manager for a British investment company. After we talked sporadically back and forth for a couple of months, we finally ramped it up and started talking daily through Google Hangouts and through email and through texting. He had a certain way about him. He very quickly got right here into my heart. He told me all these sweet nothings, told me all the wonderful things he loved about me. And before I knew it, I said, I love you to him. And then, of course, we exchanged it back and forth. And I thought to myself, this is it. This is the one. This is the guy who finally made me happy. So I thought. It seemed no more than when we started talking, the story just got more and more convoluted every single day. He could not have made it sound more urgent that we just had to meet in person as soon as possible. So the plan was he was going to go on a business trip to Houston, Texas, and then meet here in Charlotte. Then he had to go to England, where his company is headquartered, to finish a business sale. While he's in there, he's at the hotel room, and then the phone just falls off the balcony and the screen shatters. So we no longer have the option to chat on video. I can only talk over the phone with him. 2 days later, he tells me his mother is terminally ill with liver cancer, and he has to fly to Florence, Italy, which is where she lives and where he grew up, to go make sure she's in good care. So he goes to Florence, Italy for a couple days. Once she's good, he flies back to England. The very next day after he gets back to England, she passes away. He's an only child, and he was her caretaker. The funeral home in Italy needed 10,000 euros to cover his mother's funeral in cash before they would do anything. Guess who he reaches out to cover the difference? He was short about $3,000 US. Now, this is that time where I wish Will Smith was there to smack some sense into me. But at this point, he already knew I had it for him bad. And I was skeptical, especially when I had to send the money to his broker to her Cash App. But only $1,000 would go through. So then the next morning, I begrudgingly agreed to wire the other $2,000 to his broker's personal checking account. So then he goes ahead, the money's covered, he has his mother's funeral, sends me pictures. And then all of a sudden he decides to quit his job because his heart's just not in it anymore. He has $7 million in shares of this company that he wants to now sell and turn into cryptocurrency to avoid paying US taxes. But because his phone's broken, he cannot reach out to the broker at the crypto company to accept those shares. So he then asks me to log in to my WhatsApp on my phone as him to accept those shares. And of course, I'm working in the securities industry, so I'm not about to do anything like that. And I tell him no. The next day, he tells me he's going to go to London to buy a new phone so he can do it. But he doesn't have the money. It's all tied up in this cryptocurrency. His credit cards are maxed out. He has $300 to his name and he's over across the pond. So at this point, it was pretty obvious I'd been scammed. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't help you. My friend, who I'd already explained the whole story to, got suspicious. And then I sent her his pictures, his phone number, and email address. Her sister somehow manages to find his phone tracked to Nigeria. And then she finds him on Google Hangouts and strikes up this really intimate conversation with him as if the two of us had never even met. So at this point, I'm not at all surprised, but of course I'm hurt. I can make back $3,000, but I can't get back the time that I've invested into this relationship. I can't back the feelings that I've given to him. And I feel really sorry for the next guy because I'm going to tear into him. I will be asking as many questions as I possibly can next time. Now, for those of you who are in the market or know somebody who is, I first was sworn off dating apps. After that, I lied. But at least I now know what not to do. Also, by the way, this guy was not on any Facebook accounts or any other social media because after he came out, people were blowing up his phone and prying up into his business. We just canceled him. I should have known right from the beginning that that was a load of crap because anyone younger than my parents is on Facebook or some social media account. So that's one warning sign. And then, of course, if their story keeps getting more and more convoluted by the day, it's another warning sign. And then, of course, the biggest one that I was dumb enough to fall for, don't ever loan anyone money that you've never met in person. But on a positive note, I'm available. Mr. Toastmaster.
Oh, Maya. That's people like my father would fall for that, not people, well, your age, definitely not anybody my age. With that, I'm going to call up our Vice President of Public, just want to, don't forget to send the ballots over to the club view, and then all of you in person, write down who your favorite speaker was tonight, and then Toastmaster Lynn will come around and pick them up. And then we're going to move on to our table topics. Oh, and I forgot our timers report. That's so David. Could you hit mute on that? Oh, I'll do it. Okay, there we go. Timers report, I'm sorry. Toastmaster Hall.
Thank you. Okay, so all of the speeches qualify. Dr. Harvey's was 7 minutes, 29 seconds. You get a 30-second buffer on each side, so you made it. Elvis was 6 minutes, 29 seconds. And it was Alan, right? Was at 7 minutes, 14 seconds. Nice job.
Thank you, Madam Timer. Appreciate it. And now I get after everybody forget the timers report. I almost forgot it. With that, we'll turn it over to our Vice President of Public Relations, Lon. And Lon, if you have any stories about Somebody you respect or any bad bosses or anything before you start your table topics? Feel free to share, but here's our table topics master, Lon.
Thank you, Toastmasters. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Again, my name is Lon and I'll be the table topics for tonight. This is the fun portions of the meeting because anybody is welcome to participate. So of course that includes our lovely guests in person and as well as on Zoom. You'll have 1 to 2 minutes to respond to the questions that I will be asking you. You won't know what questions I will be asked until you have volunteered and get on stage, because that way it's a way for us to practice our impromptu speeches and as well as to help us to think well on our feet. So without further ado, do I have the first volunteer on Zoom or in person? Right over there. For some reason, Sandra, I feel like I've seen
You work at Chase, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, your question is, name one person you respect in your life, and what does this person do to earn your respect? Take it.
Okay. By the way, I just want to put it out there, like when I get in front of people, my heart starts to race. I'm not sure why, because like this is like, I want to like, you know, I want to not that, I don't want that to happen anymore, but I think I need to say it in order for me to be comfortable. Anyways, so the person that I respect the most in my life right now is my mentor, Steven Zottley. So when I was in high school, I went to a boarding school and he took me under his wing. He was the husband of a teacher that taught at our school. And he saw potential in me. I was a New York City kid and he saw something in me that I didn't. And he, little by little, mentored me, educated me, spent time with me. And I never got that attention the way he gave it to me. And he believed in me. And this was a man that I didn't know. I met him one day when the teacher at our school introduced me to him. And little by little, he gained all the respect in the world. And the fact that he showed up every single day, the fact that he still communicates with me years later, he's like the closest thing that I have to a second dad. So that is the one person in my life that I respect the most.
Thank you for that. I was going to share some stories at work. However, he knows where I work, so I can do that. I still work there. Anyway, for the second questions, do I have a second volunteer on Zoom, in person? All right, I'm gonna call on David.
David. Like to turn it over to our newest guest, our
Okay.
newest member.
That'll work too.
Come on up. You're ready, aren't you? You're our newest member.
Thank you. I know that sometimes we can be so hard on ourselves, but know that you are worthy. And my question for you tonight is, how do you show kindness to yourself?
Thank you for that question. That is a great question. And it's a good point, because I think a lot of us live in circumstances, whether it's family, work, where there's always pressure to do better, to perform, to excel. And sometimes sometimes we don't always reach those expectations, whether they're set by others or whether they're set for ourselves. We always talk about goals we should reach, things we should aspire to and be able to achieve. But there's a flip side to that, is that
if we're really pushing ourselves, we won't always reach the goals that we set, maybe not in the right time frame, maybe not to the right level. So it is important to be kind to ourselves. And that's probably something I need to dwell on more as I'm thinking about ways that I'm kind to myself. I think the one way which I've realized as I've grown and matured is giving myself more time and leeway when I don't achieve the goals that I initially set out. I've realized one of my best characteristics or traits is I shoot for the stars. I go for that high goal, but at the same time, even if I don't reach it every time, I still achieve something. It's about incremental progress. So the way I'm kind to myself, I would say, is by cutting myself some slack every now and then.
Thank you for that. Do we have one more?
Division Director, you don't have her hand up for half a second.
Okay.
She went like.
Oh, she did?
Division
Okay.
Director, yeah.
All right. The third question is, what are some of the ways you show respect?
What are some of the ways I show respect? I think someone called it out a little bit earlier, but that listening. Are you trying to understand the other person before you're working through your agenda? That's a big piece of showing respect, to really understand where they're coming from and to empathize, no matter how different your point of view may be. At work, I do this with my boss, my peers, those who report to me. Sometimes it's more challenging to do with friends if the conversation gets too political. But it's been a challenge and an expansion working on those emotional intelligence skills, really learning to appreciate that you can listen for understanding rather than listening to debate and share your point of view. In my younger years, that's where I came from. And if I was listening, I was instantly formatting my response to the point. So I feel a big piece of respect comes from slowing down and making sure I'm listening for that understanding in another's point of view. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you for all those who have participated for the table topics tonight. And at this time, I would like to call on these timers reports.
All right, nice job, everyone. The first speaker, what was your name? Junior. Okay, you were at 1 minute 26 seconds, and everyone clocked in time. Neil, 1 minute and 33 seconds, and then Gail was 1 minute and 19 seconds. Good job, everybody.
Thank you, Madam Timer. And next up is going to be our general evaluator. We're kind of running quick on time, or what's it? Not quick on time. We're running out of time. Short on time, not quick. There we go, short on time. I'm going to go ahead and call up our general evaluator, Toastmaster Sean. Take it away. John always has the answers, always.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honorable guests, both in person and on Zoom. I'll be your general evaluator for this evening. Before I introduce our evaluators, I'd like to talk about respect as well. So respect is very important to me. I respect my grandfather the most. I try to kind of play up to what he's done. He moved here to the US from India in 1959. He had 5 kids in which he left behind. Him and his oldest son came here in 1959, worked for 2 years to have enough funding to bring the entire family over to the US. At this point in time, my family's been here since 1961 or so, 1959 actually, and I have a lot of respect for my grandfather and what he was not capable, but able to do and forego. So sometimes I look at myself and what I do in my life, and I try to see my grandfather moved everybody from that point in time. We've been here for 60 years now. So what can I do? What can I further push our family into? So I have a lot of respect for my grandfather and what he gave up to give to me. At this point in time, I'd like to introduce our evaluators. Our first evaluator, who will be evaluating Dr. Tran's Not My Monkey, Not My Service, is Sarah Mary. Sarah Mary, it's all yours.
Hi guys, thank you. Let me get my timer up because I cannot see that. I don't know who the timer is right now.
I'm going to turn it around. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just want, I wanted to be sure that I watched myself. Okay, perfect. Hey, Holly, thank you. Okay, so Dr. Harvey, I am going to take a note from our Toastmaster, Jamie, who I always enjoy his evaluations, and I'm going to break your evaluation up into 2 parts. So I'm going to do presentation style and content. So as far as your presentation style, you do everything right. It's vocal variety, eye contact, hand gestures. It's all on point. You move around the room, you're really engaging. You even try to make eye contact with us on Zoom, which is an incredible feat and very appreciated. So you do a phenomenal job. I thought your slides looked great. I think this might be the 2nd time you've tried slides. You did awesome. They were, they had just enough imagery, not too much wording. It was perfect. Very pleasing, not overwhelming at all. I would say the one thing I would encourage you to do is just to start jumping into your speeches. Here, we all know who you are, so you don't necessarily have to introduce yourself, but you will be speaking to audiences in the future who don't know you. So it is a good practice to just do a quick intro and then jump right in. I wouldn't say stop introducing yourself, but I'd say just move past it quickly and get into your speech. Also, we all have about 7 seconds, or it might be 7 to 13 seconds, something like that, to win an audience over from the second we stand up on stage. So what I would encourage you to do is not to warn your audience about your content or caution us about how to feel, because instead of helping us let our guard down, we end up putting it up and trying to find where we're supposed to be offended in your speech. And I know what you're trying to do. It's a very considerate movement. It really is. And maybe instead of doing it at the beginning of your speech, you could make a little joke in the middle, like if you brought up the vaccine, instead of saying at the beginning, don't shoot the messenger, maybe after that comment about the vaccine, you say, don't shoot the messenger. It might be better placed somewhere like that. As far as your content, I loved your overall theme. Don't jump into other people's crazies. Don't pick up the ropes that you don't need to pick up. I love that you offer us 3 real examples: the flat earth, the vaccine, and the books. And then I love that you explained how you manage them with your friends and your mentors. I like that they were real life stories with people who you actually care about and admire, and not people that were just strangers that you met on the internet that you could say something really mean to. I thought that the way that you showed us how you managed it, which was essentially agreeing to disagree, keeping your heart open to them, but at the same time setting a boundary and making your beliefs clear and mutually respecting one another in that. It's a lesson for us all to learn, and it takes the utmost maturity to be able to do something like that. But I think that we all can relate to that. So personalizing it made it really, really connect with your audience, I found. I also love that you leveraged your medical background and the connections to show why you felt like your beliefs were correct while your friends were incorrect, specifically on the vaccine. I also, though, did not see how the GNC story connected with the book example. So perhaps just some further elaboration on that to help draw that line would have been a little bit more helpful. And then I think what I think would have made that portion of your content stronger, this whole portion of where you give the 3 examples would have been maybe just focusing on Jack's 2 beliefs, which were the flat earth and the vaccine. Maybe starting out with your relationship with him, then sharing his beliefs, your beliefs, and why you disagree, and then how you manage to maintain that friendship. So it could have been something like, my friend Jack has some strange beliefs. This is what he believes. This is what I believe and why. And here's how we manage our relationship even amidst disagreement. It could have just made it more of a story rather than 3 separate incidents. And that could have just been a way to allow your audience to journey along with you a little bit better. But overall, as always, Dr. Harvey, you're an incredible speaker. You have every tool you need. I think just organization will probably be the only area of improvement that you need. But it was wonderful as always. So thank you for that.
Great. Thank you, Sarah Mary, for that fabulous evaluation. Next, we have our speaker number 2, Elvis, no change, no gain. And I'd like to introduce our evaluator number 2, Toastmaster Eric. Toastmaster Eric, it's all yours.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and thank you, Mr. General Evaluated. Elvis, what a fantastic speech you gave us tonight. There are 2 things that I really look for and love when listening to a speaker. One is that I'm listening to somebody tell me something relevant. And the second is that there's some kind of personal story that I and other members of the audience can connect to. And your speech tonight had both of those in an outstanding way. First of all, I loved your title, No Change, No Gain. I've never heard that before. All of us know the saying, no pain, no gain. And if you made that title up, kudos to you, because I like yours better and I'm going to start using that. I love the way you started. You started by presenting questions to the audience that made all of us think about our own lives. And in doing so, you really pulled us into the talk in a way that we started feeling like we were part of your presentation. And then you challenged us with something that was so important. Is there a secret to those people who achieve their goals? Is it genes? Is it destiny? Is it something that we just have to accept in our lives that perhaps we don't have what it takes to achieve goals that we see other people achieve somewhat more easily than us? And that's when you delivered the magic of your message. And there is no secret. It's really simple. Do the work, set goals, make a plan, have a commitment, be disciplined. And as the expression goes, those things are easy, but they're not necessarily simple to do. And they're not always easy to do because you have to be disciplined. One of the things I really loved about your talk is not only the way you personalized it, but when you explained the journey that you went on to exercise and lose weight so that you wouldn't become like other members of your family. And in the end, you turned to the side and you let the audience see that you don't have a belly. I thought that was genius. And I wasn't surprised that you did that because up until that point, you walked forward, you engaged the audience, you used the stage, you were pointing and making gestures. And seeing it on Zoom to me, although it was great, you really had me wishing that I could have been there, have seen you in live, give your presentation. I thought the best part of your speech was definitely the way you ended it and how you ended it. You walked in front of the audience and you said, you have choices to make in life. And you paused, which was perfect. What are you, and you pointed to the audience, to every single one of us, going to do? So I love the way you ended your speech with a personal challenge to all of us. What could you do to make this speech even better? It was really hard for me to find a suggestion for you. Perhaps it's showing us a picture of you before and after you lost weight to really hammer home that impact of motivation. In summary, you gave an outstanding speech, and I think your speech is worthy of being heard by everybody else in our club who wasn't here tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you for that evaluation, Dr. Lasher. At this point, I'd like to introduce our third evaluator for this evening, who will be evaluating Alan's speech. I'd like to introduce everyone to John Cabello.
Good evening again, Toastmasters and guests, Toastmasters and guests on Zoom. I had the distinct pleasure of evaluating Alan. Alan is giving his level 3 motivational strategy pathway, and the goal of this speech is how to connect with storytelling. And the title of Alan's speech, Online Dating Do's and Don'ts, mostly don'ts, very unique title. I, like the other evaluators, will try to cover full structure and content, a little bit about visual and physical presentation. Now, the connecting with audience is something I'm very passionate about. I truly feel that part of that respect I talked about at the beginning was being able to listen, and it's about knowing your audience. And to truly be able to connect, you must know your audience. And I think what I liked particularly, the way you connected immediately, is asking the question, and what you're really trying to elicit in that simple question, who's participated in online dating, is what you're really trying to extract is who here has not sought love in some form or fashion. And I think we all can identify that that is a pretty universal trait that we all have here, but that helped to bring it home. And it's, of course, everyone is seeking what happened to you. And the story is what helps you connect with the audience. If connecting with the audience is the destination, the story is what helps you get you there. So as your story was progressing, I do like in the beginning instantly, and this is a great way to connect with audiences, to introduce your vulnerability, right? It takes a lot of courage to come up here and say, this is what happened to me. Here is my background. You may not share it, but I was seeking love, and this is what happened to me. So that allows you to connect right away. And I thought it really drove home, no matter what creed, color, or sexual orientation, we're all seeking love. And that's what helped us connect. I liked your story as it was progressing. I liked the extra phone drops, and it really accentuates, captures our attention, keeps us going. And as the story was going on, we all felt like that, right? You've been in that situation. Oh, I know where this is going, and it's not going to end well. From a vocal variety and presentation, I thought you were pretty good. You had good vocal variety. You spoke clearly, and there was nothing I felt that you could correct in your presentation. If there was anything you could introduce into your speech to help improve it, maybe introduce a pause. When you were finally realized that it was a scam, I was devastated. Help us feel that. So that really, we've all been there, and we certainly knew where it was going. We were devastated ourselves, but really help introduce that pause so that we could really feel it and absorb it. But overall, I hope I am just as worthy as an evaluator as the folks at Valentine, and I hope you come here again. Mr. General Daddy.
Thank you, John. At this point in time, we would like to get the timers report on our evaluator. So I'd like to bring up Holly. Holly, stage is yours.
Right. Hi, everyone. Last time I'll be up here. Sarah Mary, you were at 4 minutes and 25 seconds. Eric was 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And then John, 3 minutes and 16 seconds.
And don't forget to put those ballots provided in club view if you're online. At this point in time, I'd like to give a brief overview on the meeting as a whole, and to kind of just evaluate how we did. First, I'll just start off with our evaluators that we have. It's really, I'm very glad, very grateful that there are great people to evaluate the speeches. As a general evaluator, you get to see how they do. Both Sarah Mary, Eric, and John as well, they're both great speakers. They speak very well. And so for them to give evaluations back to the speakers, I was able to write down what they all did, what they all excelled at. So Sarah Mary, you gave great detailed feedback in Dr. Harvey's speech. Very detailed in terms of his not only his content, but also how he could wrap it up as well at the conclusion. So you had made very good points there. Thank you for that. Dr. Laxer, great points on Elvis's speech as well, in terms of how the structure of his content went. So I was very fortunate. We were all very fortunate to hear your response. John, you always do a great job with not only your speeches, but your evaluations as well. And you're able to give some feedback on Alan's. Alan is a great speaker, as we all saw. Everyone here was a great speaker. So it's very hard to find those points in which you want to give feedback. And you saw John here was able to find something in Alan's speech and provide that feedback. So I think they all did a fantastic job with the evaluations. As the meeting as a whole, I know we fumbled a little bit in the very beginning. We had some technical problems, technical difficulties, but you know what? It happens. And I think what I jotted down is our Toastmaster of the day. David, you did a very good job by knowing exactly what to do. You recouped very quickly by getting the stand from the other side and then placing the laptop on top of it. So it took a few minutes, but we were able to find a solution, and you did find a solution. And then we just moved forward. All in all, I think the meeting went very well. We're able to accommodate mostly everybody, both in person and on Zoom as well. So I think we all did a great job. I think we need to be more prompt on our time though, but that's something that we always strive to improve. However, I'm okay with it. I think that I don't know how to address it. Maybe we will address it one day in the other meetings that we have. Great meeting for this evening. I'd like to now turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day, David.
And if we can get a grammarian's report real quick. Andrea Chocolate Butterfly Williams.
Okay, so we are about to give the grammarian report, and today's word of the day was worthy, because I wanted everybody to feel that they were worthy of respect, because respect is earned and not given. Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, David, for that theme of the day. And so those people that said the word worthy, I'm going to start with David. David said it, John said it, Flan said it, and it was somebody else. Okay, that's all I have. So I'm going to give a few words that were very important today that I heard that were very awesome. So first of all, we learned that David has a lucky, anybody know?
In a quarter mile, turn left onto McLaughlin Drive.
He has a lucky hat. So I'm sure somebody said it and I can't hear it. And so that was very interesting to me that he has a lucky hat, like a sports person who has some lucky sock or something. And then we have something that was very good to me, and I heard it too, Eric, no change, no gain. And then he mentioned that he had a big belly. Now he has no hair. So his big change was no belly, to lose the belly, but then he lost the hair. So that was, to me, was very ironic. And then our guest speaker, Alan, told his age, so we didn't hear it. He made sure that it was convoluted. And that was one of the words that he used that I thought was very pertinent. And then he was saying, his speech was all about online dating do's and mostly don'ts. And what I learned from his speech is don't waste your time, because it may be a lesson learned, but the time you can't get back. And let's see, I got crutch word. I'm not sure what his name was. It Junior? Is that his name? Junior?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I got that right. Okay, so his name, I'm sorry I wasn't on camera. Please give me grace. So his crutch word was like. So, so make sure that you just take a deep breath next time. But I just thought it was funny because you said three times in a row. And I understand getting up sometimes as your first time doing table topics can be a thrill. And then something else that he said that I really liked, that sometimes expectations are set by others and ourselves. And this was something we don't often hear. Be kind to ourselves. We all, it's a new theme out there. Be kind, be kind, be kind. And we're talking about be kind to others, but sometimes we need to be kind to ourselves. So thank you for that. The next one I wanted to bring up was understand what the other person is saying instead of thinking about what your next point that you want to express. That was great, as in reference to how do you respect others. Sean, your crutch word was your word of the day that you used that you may not want to use so much as so. Sarah said And then Eric, you did something very special. You said kudos to you. And you said that following your dreams, which you know is my thing, following your dreams, you have to do the work and then you'll be worthy. So you said, that's when you said worthy. And I found it. I knew somebody else said it. And John, today you said you could say something funny, but always be inspirational. And then at the end, you ended it with know your audience. Repetitive words. And that was one of my, one of the things I love. And that was great. And we're all seeking love. But you know, we have to be careful when we try to find it. And then you said, when you're trying to connect with your audience, help us feel it. So we should be able to feel what you're saying. And then Sean, you said something very important. Know what to do when things go wrong. And with that, I turn it back over to the Toastmaster of the day. And I hope that everyone has a worthy day.
Thank you, Madam Grammarian. And for our guests online and in person, that's what Toastmasters does. You give speeches and you get feedback. And that's what's great about it, because you just don't get up and talk. You get to hear from other people. And then also, I don't know if you noticed, but everybody, including myself, speaking tonight, are roles that you sign up for. So next week is going to be a different Toastmaster, a different timer, so those are how you get involved in the whole Toastmaster public speaking, is just doing different roles and eventually work up to speaking where you're comfortable. But that's all how it works out. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our ballot counter and find out who our favorite speakers for tonight were.
Thank you, Toastmaster David. So we had many worthy speakers and speeches tonight, but unfortunately there can only be one winner. And I think this is my first Toastmaster meeting where all of our winners are in person. So for best speaker, Mr. Elvis. And for our best table topics master, Neil. Congratulations. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Worthy, best evaluator, John Capella. Good evening.
All right, and I apologize to everybody. We usually try to keep it on time, but we didn't make it tonight. But with that, I'm going to turn it back over to our presiding officer, as our president is out tonight. So please welcome our VPE, Elvis.
Toastmaster, and thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you all Toastmasters and guests on Zoom. Before we wrap it up, I would like to ask one more time from our guests what you thought about our meeting tonight, what your thoughts are.
Stand up.
Oh, you can come over so that everybody can hear you.
I loved coming here. I appreciate you guys being open, just being open arms to me and my partner coming here and practicing my speech with you. I am looking to get better at this, so I will be coming over and over again. That's all I do. Thank you.
And I don't see any of the guests on Zoom. So oh, Gail is still there.
I'm still here. I just want to say I'm so excited I got a chance to visit your club. What a fantastic meeting tonight, from the inspiration to the energy, the fantastic speeches, and you do a hybrid. So that offered me the chance to visit. And I know my home club, we transitioned to some hybrid too, and it's a lot of effort. So just fantastic meeting.
Thank you. Now I would like to acknowledge our newest member, Neil. Please come over. Toastmasters, I would like also to remind you of our club dues, our actually, no, we have until the end of this month. It's March 31st. The next period starts on April 1st. So any of you who have not renewed or paid the dues for next period, please do so before the end of the period. With that, if there is no other announcements, this meeting is officially adjourned. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
All right. Thank you, Andrea.